It's a really sunny day. Where did that come from? It's hot, it's sunny, spring is here, it's lovely, and of course, I'm indoors because I'm a nerd. And good news, my character finally has a mini. It's taken long enough to actually get this done. I just couldn't get around to it. Sometimes I'm just not in a painting mood. You know how it goes. But I do always try and have, even in like one shots, I always try and have like a painted mini at the table because I just think it kind of helps me. It adds a bit of immersion for myself. So yeah, I finally have a quite dynamic mini. I got it from Etsy. I'll put the description of the shop in the doobly-doo if you're interested in checking it out. But yeah, finally got around to painting him. And you know, I'm not the greatest painter in the world. I know people are probably shouting at me to thin my paints and all of that. And also, you know, I could have done a bit better cleaning up the model beforehand as well. He's got some bits on him. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that, I've got to be honest. I think he looks pretty badass. And I did some edge highlighting and I painted a white cloak. And let me tell you, white is an absolute nightmare to paint if you want it shaded. So that was nice. First time I've managed to do that. So I will take it as a victory. Also, gold, in particular gold trim, nightmare. Yeah, he was just a nightmare all round to paint. But yeah, he's done. So now he'll be at the table being Shi'eld Guardian, champion of Klabu, mightiest god in the world. Yes, I'm very happy about that. And yeah, something else I'm very happy about is this latest session. So I think people that have watched quite a few of these videos of mine will know I maybe don't play D&D in the same way that a lot of people do. I think a lot of people come to D&D just being like, it's just a game, we roll some dice, we have fun. For me, it's not just a game. Like I've said this before, but like for me, the thing that separates D&D from something like, I don't know, Monopoly, that's a terrible example, it's an awful game, but you know, I think the thing that makes it just not just a game is that it's actually a story that we're telling, you know? And I think nothing exemplifies that fact more than we, of course, create characters that are in these games, and those characters, we have backstories that we create. We say, what is it that happened in this person's past to make them the person that they are when they first rock up at the table. And I always enjoy that experience, and it's always fun. But I think for a lot of people, when they're playing the game, and this is absolutely fine, by the way, I'm not throwing any shade on it. I think for a lot of people, that's where it kind of stops. Like the person, the character that turns up at the table in session one, that's just who they are. And everything that happens for the rest of the campaign, they are like solid as a rock. It's just, that's what my character would do. And it doesn't change, nothing changes. And if you think about it, that's kind of, for me anyway, like that's not realistic. You know, we've got a backstory that explains how they became the person that they are. We're now in a campaign where they're fighting against gods and monsters and uncovering deep fundamental truths about the universe. It's gonna have an impact on who they are. It's gonna fundamentally change them. And you know what, for me, that's the fun part of the game, because I don't know where my character is going to go. I don't know how he is going to react to the things that happens around him. Like, D&D is quite predictable, let's be honest now. Like, you go into a game, you know that in a session there's going to be a few monsters to fight, probably going to just beat them quite easily. You know there's going to be a few rooms to explore, a couple of puzzles maybe some traps, maybe a couple of NPCs to interact with. You'll get some loot. Like, you know that fundamentally, like, you know what a D&D session is going to look like before you go into it, right? But the thing that I don't know is where my character is going to go, and that for me is the exciting part of why I turn up each week and why I play, because I want to see how he reacts to the events happening around him. I'm kind of sounding schizophrenic, aren't I? But in my mind, it genuinely is. Like, Shi'eld exists within my brain as his own person. Like, he is fundamentally a character, and I put him into this sandbox of this campaign, and I'm just standing back and watching how he interacts, trying not to metagame, trying not to influence his actions as myself. Sometimes it happens, but yeah, just generally trying to be like, all right, Shi'eld, what do you do in this case? How does this affect you? How are you impacted by the things that you're seeing around you? I think that probably makes you quite an annoying person to play with as well. But yeah, that's genuinely what I do. So, and this session I think was a great example of that, because if we just look at it mechanically in terms of what happened, yeah, there were a few fights. We went through a few rooms. We fought some drow. We saw a Behir. There was an illusory roper which we got past. We found some loot. You know, it was very by the numbers and very forgettable. But I am not gonna forget how my character reacted to things, right? So, yeah, let's bring it back. So we started the session, we actually were in the middle of a combat. We finished the previous session just starting something, so we started in the middle of combat. Not really my favourite way to go, but okay, whatever. So we're fighting against some drow and some demons, shadow demons I think they were. We took them down, and all during the fight, as we were fighting with spells and magic, every time we were using magic, this lightning in the distance was getting closer and closer. The sounds of lightning were getting closer. And luckily we were able to take all of the monsters down before the lightning appeared. And as a final act, the new wizard in our party, he created what's it called, Lehman's tiny hut. And we all hid inside. And then what should emerge from the depths of the dungeon but a giant Behir. A giant snake-like thing with legs, crackling with electricity all along him. And yeah, he was obviously some big monster that none of us had seen before. We were rolling kind of nature checks and arcana checks. None of us really knew what it was because we rolled quite poorly. And my character rolled so poorly on those checks, in fact, that I decided that he thought this was an aboleth. If you recall, in my character's backstory, an aboleth was on the floor, which basically wiped out the Kuatoa. And the Kuatoa are the people that I am sworn to protect, because they are the people that created Klabu, my god. And so the aboleth is a sworn enemy. I've never seen one before, though. I have no idea what an aboleth is, and I rolled so badly on my nature check that I'm just like, that must be an aboleth. It's a big, snaky-like monster. That Behir there is an aboleth. And so I'm telling the party this. We need to go right now and defeat it. And they're all like, no, we need to rest. We need to patch up our wounds. And the wizard in our party, Virtue, he's saying to me, I don't think that's actually an aboleth. Again, he didn't roll high enough to know what it was, but he's like, I don't think that's an aboleth. It's something else, you know? And I was just like, look, you've only just joined our party like a couple of hours ago of in-game time. Listen to me, right? I've been in this group a long time now. I've kept us alive. I know what's up. That's an aboleth, and we're gonna go and follow it and destroy it. And so the party is just like reluctantly, okay, like... well, actually, the frog boy in the party, just because the player that plays him, plays Raynome, he's a bit of a chaos merchant, and he's just like, he just says to me, yeah, I think you're right. I think it is an aboleth. You should go fight it. And I'm like, yes, then I shall go immediately and take it down. And if no one will join me, I'll fight it single-handed. And so my character just goes, following the direction that this Behir went. And the rest of the party are reluctantly like, okay, I guess we should make sure he doesn't get in trouble. So they follow. And so we find ourselves then in a room. There was, we found, well, I found, because I was going ahead, a naked deep gnome who was munching away on some dead drow corpses. And I don't think anything's odd about that, because I don't eat. So, and I hate drow. So I just see this guy munching away on drow corpses, and I'm just like, hello, I'm looking for an aboleth. Have you seen one pass through this way? And this deep gnome can't speak common. He doesn't understand us, but he kind of looks up, and he's a bit off at first, and I see that he's munching away at a drow, and so I toss him some rations that I've got in my pack because I don't need them, and he kind of starts following me around a bit like a dog. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, you know what? We've legitimately had player characters that have joined the party with less of an introduction than that. Like, at this point, he's not hostile. I gave him some food and he's following us. I say, do you know where the aboleth is? And he kind of points. And I'm like, great. You are obviously a member of our party now. But by this point, the rest of the party arrive and I just introduce him. I'm like, yes, this is a new member of our party. He is a valued member. So this random deep gnome, Zorp, is now following the party. And at this point, the party are really like Shi'eld, come on. And I'm just like, come on, people, let's go. So we go in the direction that he points. He was actually pointing towards more dead bodies. And we find ourselves in a room with a roper. It turns out the roper is just an illusion, however, which is kind of guarding us going further into the dungeon. So we realize that it's an illusion. We continue on our way past it, and we find ourselves in a room with lots and lots of corpses. And immediately, Zorp, this naked Svaneblin, he just starts stuffing his face with more corpses. And a couple of people in the party are rolling nature checks, and they realize this guy is he's eating far more than a deep gnome should be able to. Like, there's something weird here. And so again, Virtue is saying to me, like, there's something odd about this guy. I don't think it's right. And I'm like, nonsense! He is a valued ally and he's helping us out. And so basically Virtue just attacks him. He attacks Zorp. And I made it very clear that I was going to defend Zorp. If he attacked, I would defend him. And so immediately we go into combat. Zorp the Svaneblin gets knocked unconscious, and it reveals that it was in fact some sort of polymorphed troll. He was a troll all along. And of course the troll starts fighting against the party. The party are fighting back, and my turn keeps coming around in initiative order. And I'm like, I don't know what I would do. Like, I definitely wouldn't be attacking the party, because it turned out that they were right. There was something odd about him. I don't think I'd be attacking him either, though, because I kind of was on his side. So I just used my turns to be like, I step back, I pray to my god, I start self-reflecting, I start meditating. So that combat happens without me completely. Obviously the party takes down the troll, because the troll by this point is it's just a speed bump as far as our party is concerned, because we're at quite high level already. And so afterwards, there's a moment where I'm just like, with my party, just like, okay, obviously you were right. You said there was something weird about this troll, about this Svaneblin, and there was. You also told me that monster was not an aboleth. Maybe you're right about that as well. Maybe I've been wrong about a lot of things. Like, I go through this I've had such conviction. I've been just acting out of my whole life, which is about 2 weeks. The whole 2 weeks of my life, I've had absolute certainty of what is right and what is wrong. It's black and white. It's drow versus the forces of good. It's I know who I should be defending. I know who I should be defeating. And suddenly, I don't know anymore. I don't know what is what. And I'm having this kind of moment of crisis. And I say, look, Virtue, your name is obviously right. Like, you obviously know what you're talking about. You obviously know what's going on here. So I will defer to you going forwards. And I actually make a list with the party. I'm like, things that are bad and I should kill, things that are good and I shouldn't kill. And then anything that's kind of in between is like a grey area where I should kind of check first. Right? And so the party kind of helped me to group think this a little bit. So I've got things that are bad that I should always kill, no question. I put drow there, I put aboleths there, and Raynome put mages. So drows, aboleths, and mages are always on the kill list now. Anytime we find one, they are now dead, because they are bad. On the good side, however, so Tix put pirates there, Virtue put children, and Raynome put sexy ladies. So I am no longer able to attack sexy ladies. However, I'm a robot. I have no idea of what is or is not sexy, and so therefore I just basically will not be attacking women anymore. So that's going to be fun going forwards, that I'm not going to be attacking pirates or women or children, and I will always, without question, be attacking drow and mages. So let's see how that goes. And at some point, I'm sure, because the DM is just like this, he's going to present me with a drow child or a drow sexy woman. And then I'm going to be thrown into an existential crisis where the two sides of the Venn diagram are combining, and I'm like, I don't know what my god wants anymore. Help me, party. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I love about this game. That I would never have predicted going into this session that those are the sorts of conundrums that are going to be coming up. That those are the kinds of you're yes-anding character development, and I love that. You know, I knew that there'd be dice rolling. I knew that there'd be combat. I knew that there'd be exploring the dungeon. I did not know there would be an existential crisis about the fundamental belief system that underpins my character. Great. I love it, right? So so then we moved on a little bit. We found ourselves in another room with some more drow. We took them down. Along the way, Raynome rolled really well with he's still fighting with that magic brick, if you remember, that he got a few sessions ago. And I think he got like a crit, or he rolled something really well, and the DM had some mechanic that he built in. And basically, almost like a Pokemon evolving, this magic brick evolved into now a magic breeze block, which is the same as the magic brick. It's still a +1 weapon, but now it can cast Gust of Wind, a 2nd level spell once per day for free. Lovely. So maybe it's going to evolve again at some point as well. It's going to be the world's greatest brick, you know? So there we go. That was fun. And then finally, at the very end of the session, we found some loot, as I imagined would happen. We killed all the drow, and I marked them with the sign of my god of Klabu. Virtue asked me, what does the sign of Klabu actually look like? So I drew this, because it kind of looks like my god's face. It's a stylized symbol, I guess. I don't know, whatever. That's the sign of Klabu. And and then finally we ended up in a room in which there were lots and lots of drow fighting. Drow on both sides of this kind of ravine or something, like fighting each other, like 16 drow, I think. There were a few demons as well, like some like mosquito-like demons and a frog demon. They were glowing with like fairy fire. And as we arrived in this room, they hadn't noticed us yet because they were busy focusing on each other, and we haven't yet decided what we're going to do. But my character is already like, drow, hot diggity, that's on the list for killing. But they're killing each other, so maybe we should just stand back and watch and then kill the victors. I don't know. So we'll see what happens there next time. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, for me, that's where the fun of D&D comes in the kind of the parts that obviously it's a dice rolling game, so you never know what the dice are going to say, and people say the dice tell their own story. Sometimes you roll badly and some unusual, unexpected consequences happen. But then there's other things that you don't know. It's independent of the dice. You don't know how the other people in the party are going to react or act or do things. You don't know what's going to come up in terms of how they react and then how you react to them. And these are, for me, the things that make the game fun and interesting, and not just Monopoly. Yeah. So that was a fun session, and I'm looking forward to coming back next week and deciding with my painted character and deciding how do we react to all of this. But until then, have a really, really good week, and I will see you next time. Take care.